This is part 3 of the Hills Bloody Hills series. Hey guys, how's it going? It's General Mango back with you with this scenario I've been working on. I decided to go ahead and play it out. You can see here I've dropped some smoke on the left outer crossroads objective, as I've already taken some heavy machine gun and some recoilless rifle fire from there and lost a leopard tank on the approach. I'm trying to move in some of my more battered mechanized over there to, do some scouting. And here's some more sorties from the enemy's air units. Luckily, they're mostly down to cannons by this point. They don't really have any bombs left, so it's not even that big of a deal. Here I'm moving up through the forest to try and get a position where I can engage in firefight with the people in the city and maybe get some spotting going on. Like these guys, I have them in hold fire mode so that they can move up, and if there's any enemy vehicles in the forest here, they can ambush them. Now here you can see some of my more battered mechanized are moving up in hold fire mode to try and scout out the approach to the left outer crossroads. Then my sneaky German tank destroyer takes out a BMP. Pretty sweet. And a little bit over here you can see I'm trying to get a cheeky ambush on this other BMP before it sees us. It turns out most of the enemies from this little tree line have already been killed by my mortars, so we run into some light resistance in there on our way up to try and scout the left outer crossroad. Since it seems relatively safe over there and we still have the smoke screen, I decide to go ahead and poke up with a leopard tank, see if I can get some, get a good position going before the smoke clears. These guys are now creeping closer to that BMP. It's almost time to tell them to fire. It seems I waited too long as they get spotted and one of them gets taken out, but we have an assist from this other mechanized team over here, and that's a good kill. I now have some infantry pushing up on the left side of the road, headed towards the city. We found some spots over here that have some decent line of sight, and I'm eventually going to move up a couple of tank destroyers too to see if we can get some kills from there. I'm now maneuvering some fresh mechanized and some armor up to assault the left crossroads. A final helicopter attack destroys my immobilized Leopard 1 on the right flank. Luckily, I think we shoot enough at them this time that they don't want to come back. Either that or they ran out of ammo. They also get one of my mechanized guys before they can even get out of their vehicle. Unfortunately, my Leopard tank I moved up first over here starts to take fire from the recoilless rifles that just don't want to die. I was hoping I could spot them first, but due to the resistance in the woods down there, I couldn't really get my scouts up there in time. Plus my smoke screen kind of ended up working against me a little bit. Then my final airstrikes come in and drop some napalm on the enemy's mech that's out in the open. Not sure if it had that much of an effect. And over here near the left crossroads, my martyr seems to be in a disadvantageous position where the enemy has fire superiority. RPGs and recoilless fire is coming in on him, so I decided to go ahead and pop some smoke. Now I begin to come under rocket fire, and this continues for like 15-20 minutes. It seems like the damn Soviets have unlimited artillery. Now some of my infantry in hold fire mode have gotten into position and spotted several targets, so I start to move up these tank destroyers. Now, what I should have done here is these guys start to come under artillery fire, as I should have loaded back up and reversed out of there with most of my units and just kept like a couple of vehicles and a couple of guys to scout. But I was just ready to assault the objective, I had tunnel vision going basically. With my forward units assaulting the left outer crossroads battered by artillery, I go ahead and move up 2 more platoons. Now some of my troops begin engaging targets in and around the city, and this is good. The left outer crossroads is now secure, but we're still fighting some enemies for it. It shouldn't be that big of a deal if I can get enough firepower on them close enough, but they do manage to kill 3 or 4 of my vehicles with RPGs. I was just, like I said, getting tunnel vision trying to go ahead and run them over. They were frustrating me so much between the artillery attacks and the high morale. Now here on the left, my tank destroyer is going to engage a BMP while my M48 Patton tank is going to engage a T62. Determined enemy airstrikes come in and attack my martyrs before they can get up into the fight and manage to destroy one of them with the passengers inside. Now the fight for the outer city has gone a lot better than I expected due to really good positioning in the forest and holding my fire until I had targets identified. Just goes to show how effective that can be, and they didn't really get hit by as much artillery either, considering they weren't out in the open. Same thing with airstrikes. But sometimes you don't have cover approaching an objective, or not enough anyway, with most of the trees down here destroyed in that little patch approaching this one. Now I'm inching up my tank destroyers near the outer city because they've already destroyed all the targets they could see from there. These little guys in the Patton tanks, being much older vehicles, they performed a lot better than I thought they would. Now it's time to poke up some infantry to try and maneuver on this mortar objective. I then lose a scout helicopter to what I can only assume is a BTR's heavy machine gun. So I get ready to maneuver my martyr mechanized infantry on those guys. My forward screen of guys without ammo mostly start to take fire from the outer buildings, so I get ready to call in some mortar fire and maybe maneuver some vehicles to fire into those buildings. This forest position is just totally kicking ass. One of my vehicles has made his way to the mortar position and it seems to be unoccupied, but he's taken fire from enemy BMPs over there and he's about to be destroyed, but that's okay. Now I know that area is relatively clear. I want to move up these guys to clear out this little patch of trees and kind of get a side attack on those BTR mechanized right above them before we move in for one final attack on the main city. My guys come under fire from heavy machine guns and grenade launchers as they enter the outskirts of the city. But this is pretty much what I planned on, as these guys are like my weaker units that don't really have that much ammo. So I'm just trying to get a feel for where everyone's at, get some mortars on them, and then I'll bring in the actual full platoon I have behind them. Now I fight it out with these guys for a little bit longer, and honestly I probably should have just avoided them, but I didn't want them to like counterattack me in the rear. Not a whole lot happens. I get a little bit too close here in a second, and one of my martyrs gets taken out by an RPG. That one right there. And there he goes, plonk. And I'm like, alright, better move my vehicles back away from there. And I realize that I'm just kind of wasting ammo on these guys. They're not that much of a threat, they're just BTR mechanized. But yeah, so we're now moving up our actual forces to assault into the city. I do end up losing another martyr there as he got a little bit close to those RPGs. And I'm moving some guys up across this hill, and they come under heavy machine gun fire when they try to cross that hill where the mortar position is. But I do position some tanks up there behind them, so it becomes pretty easy to move the tanks up and deal with those threats. So it kind of works out. They spot the enemy by getting shot at, and then the tanks come in and deal with them. I do lose a leopard there, but I feel like that one was pretty much unavoidable. I had to assume that battle position. It was like the best option. I finally start to get some infantry into the city, and then they get attacked from behind. Here my martyrs get into an engagement with a BMP, and we lose one of them, but then we take revenge pretty quickly. The majority of my remaining armor moves up to their final battle position on this hill overlooking the city. I move in my anti-air gun to do badass anti-air gun things to these buildings. I decided it's time to push in with these guys on the outskirts of the town, kind of in the center of this attack. Over here on the bottom or the left side, I try to move in some guys to ambush a tank I found, and they get taken out. Their buddies right here at the top will take revenge for their comrade though. And there it is. Now you can see I'm just moving in my infantry closer and closer to these buildings. Finally, some of my infantry move in to take one of the objectives in the city. My smoke shells fall on the remaining enemy positions defending the other city objective as my infantry moves in. Through all these hard-fought battles, it seems like victory wasn't that far out of reach after all. Soon the city will be liberated. I can't believe my eyes. A tactical victory has been achieved. The losses were nasty. I got bogged down in fights that I shouldn't have. I could have just lightly skirmished on the middle and right objectives and spearheaded down the left side of the map, poking in and out with my tanks to bait out their artillery would have been the best way to do this, because anytime I massed my troops for an assault, I would get hit with all types of rockets and stuff. I also should have utilized the fact that I had tons of infantry. I started to, you know, when I got closer to the end, I started to do that and like scout ahead with them and poke forward with them. But this isn't like my usual tactics, so I had to kind of like adapt as I went. But I mean, it ended up being kind of fun. I do want to edit the scenario to reduce their morale a bit though, maybe increase their training a bit. I think that would make it a lot more fun. I hope you like and subscribe and come back for the next one.